The Australian legal system has just ruled on one of the most contentious legal issues of our time, the rights of transgender individuals in female-only spaces. The case is Tickle versus Giggle. Yes, I know, it's a hilarious name. And it's a decision that could reshape how we think about gender identity and discrimination. So, what's the story? Roxanne Tickle, who was born a male but is now legally recognised as a female on an updated Queensland birth certificate, was denied access to a female-only social media platform called Giggle. The platform, designed specifically for women, excluded Tickle based on her biological sex, sparking a legal battle over whether this exclusion was discriminatory. The case wasn't just about access to an app. It was about whether the law in Australia can or should recognise biological sex, or if legal sex, as determined by updated documents, is all that matters. This legal battle is part of a larger, ongoing debate that has been gaining momentum since 2018, when the UK considered introducing self-identification for gender recognition. At the heart of this debate is a fundamental question: what is a woman? Gender-critical feminists argue that a woman is an adult human female, referring to biological sex. On the other hand, trans activists argue that anyone who feels like a woman simply is a woman. This debate has led to intense discussions about female-only spaces like bathrooms, shelters, and yes, social media platforms. Should spaces that have traditionally been reserved for biological females now be open to simply anyone who identifies as a female? This question has split public opinion, and the Tickle versus Giggle case has brought it to the forefront in Australia. Handed down last Friday, Justice Robert Bromwich's judgment took a striking stance. He dismissed the social and biological debates as irrelevant to the legal issues at hand. He stated, "It is not my role in forming a judgment about the issues in dispute and the relevant law to have regard to the evolutionary or biological definitions or features of human sex." This indicates that, in his view, legal sex, something that can be changed and recognized through documentation, is the primary concern rather than biological sex. Bromwich further explained that in contemporary ordinary meaning, sex is seen as changeable, and he didn't acknowledge the importance of biological sex as an everyday concept. When it comes to defining what a woman is, Bromwich made it clear that the debate over whether womanhood is a natural, biological, or social construct was outside the scope of what he needed to determine legally in this case. This is particularly noteworthy because his judgment essentially states that men who identify as women cannot be excluded from women-only spaces, raising significant questions about the future of these spaces. A key part of this case was the testimony of Helen Joyce, an expert on women-only spaces and the social implications of trans activism. Helen Joyce is also a Quillette contributor. Joyce argued that spaces reserved for biological women are crucial for their safety, privacy, and dignity. However, Bromwich dismissed her opinion, saying it was of no assistance to the court. He argued that Joyce, despite her work with the UK's sex-based human rights charity Sex Matters and her extensive research, lacked the formal qualifications in biology, gender, or law to be considered an expert in this case. This dismissal seemed to be rooted in ideological differences, as Bromwich noted Joyce's firm belief that transgender women do not exist, a stance that directly conflicts with his view that Roxanne Tickle is a female. In the end, Bromwich ruled that Giggle's exclusion of Tickle was a case of indirect discrimination based on gender identity. He didn't find direct discrimination, as Giggle's CEO, Sal Grover, may not have known Tickle's gender identity from just a photograph. However, Bromwich highlighted that indirect discrimination occurs when a condition or practice disproportionately disadvantages someone based on a protected attribute, in this case, gender identity. Bromwich seemed to equate transgender women and cisgender women as distinct gender identities, assuming that excluding those with male physical characteristics would inherently disadvantage transgender women. This judgment has significant implications for women-only spaces in Australia. The Sex Discrimination Act includes a reasonableness test, which could have justified Giggle's exclusion method if the respondents had invoked it. However, until this verdict is appealed in the High Court, women who rely on these spaces may have to either tolerate the inclusion of men who are legally recognised as women, or self-exclude until sex-based exemptions are reinstated. This video was based on an essay by the Australian political philosopher Holly Lawford Smith, and it was published in Quillette on the 27th of August 2024. You can read it at quillette.com. If you liked this video, please share it widely and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also visit quillette.com where you can become a member. Thank you for watching.